What's a truth that becomes even scarier the more you think about it? Story 1. Your entire life or the life of someone you love can be taken from you in a single moment, with absolutely no warning and absolutely no control on your part. Everything we achieve is tied to luck more than people like to admit. Success, wealth, relationships, having children, every one of them is influenced by circumstances outside our control. You can be brilliant at business and still lose everything because of a disaster you never saw coming. A freak accident can alter your face or mobility, permanently affecting your chances at romance, career, or stability. You might simply be born into extreme poverty and spend your whole life trying to escape it. It sounds like an insurance pitch, but it's just the reality most people don't want to accept. Story 2. Cheetahs have become so inbred that veterinarians performing surgery don't even need to find a matching organ donor, because genetically, almost all cheetahs are practically clones of one another. A cheetah could, in theory, receive an organ transplant from any other cheetah with little risk of rejection. In most cat species, blood enzymes vary between individuals by 20–50%. In cheetahs, they're identical, every single enzyme. It's an incredible and terrifying example of what extreme inbreeding does to a species. Story 3. The size of the universe is already mind-breaking, but it gets worse. We call the universe big, but mathematically speaking, it's tiny. We can describe its size with just a handful of digits using scientific notation. Meanwhile, there are numbers so unfathomably huge that even scientific notation fails. Not because the universe is small, but because these numbers are that enormous. And the scariest part? You don't even need advanced mathematics to produce them. Simple puzzles like the busy beaver problem or the tree 3 problem generate numbers that make the size of the universe look microscopic by comparison. Our universe feels massive, but mathematically, it barely scratches the surface. Story 4. The ocean remains one of the least explored places on Earth. So many myths, fragments of history, and bits of scientific knowledge come from the tiny percentage of the sea we've actually been able to observe. I both love and hate this fact. The ocean still holds endless wonders and mysteries, but at the same time, we actually have mapped the entire ocean floor via satellites and large-scale sonar sweeps. We have a very solid picture of its shape overall. Anything over a mile across, we've almost definitely detected it, but mapped isn't the same as explored. We've barely seen the details, the ecosystems, the trenches, the life, the anomalies that exist down to the inch. The ocean floor is known in outline. Its secrets, however, are still almost entirely hidden. Story 5. Oligarchs basically run everything. Nearly every major industry is an oligopoly. And even though life today is better than it was in the Gilded Age, people are far less willing to fight these power structures. Back then, workers would risk losing their homes, their jobs, even their lives, and they still fought for better conditions and wages. Today, people have much more to lose and have grown accustomed to a more comfortable lifestyle. So instead of taking risks, they gravitate toward low-effort movements that feel good but accomplish little. It's all symbolic, more virtue signaling than action. We outnumber the oligarchs, but fear and comfort have made people unwilling to confront them the way past generations did. Story 6. Everyone who is born eventually has to leave. There are countless ways to die, and none of us know when our moment will come. It's unsettling to think about what the actual experience of dying might feel like. But maybe, depending on how it happens, you don't even realize it. I fainted once after a routine blood test, I know. Not exactly heroic, but the strange part was how I didn't feel myself passing out at all. 1 second I was upright and disoriented with the doctor holding my arm, and the next thing I knew I was on the floor with her gently tapping my cheek. There was no awareness of the in-between moment. Maybe dying is something like that. The pain or shock knocks you out long before your body gives up. In some cases, you might not even feel the transition. Story 7. Your brain can distort memories, but not in the way people often claim. Memory is reconstructive, not a perfect replay, but the idea that your brain randomly creates false memories identical to real ones is inaccurate. We don't fully understand where or how memory is stored. There's evidence it isn't exclusively in neurons. Even individual cells have forms of memory. Some people have hyperthymesia, the ability to recall every day of their lives with astonishing accuracy, verified through testing. Yes, recall can alter certain details because accessing a memory makes it temporarily flexible, but it's not a game of memory of the last memory. Most long-term memories remain stable even after hundreds of recalls. Emotional or traumatic memories can be incredibly vivid and unchanging, so vivid that flashbacks put people back inside the moment as if it's happening again. Eyewitness testimony can be flawed, but not because the events are fake. It's usually because humans aren't good at remembering faces or specific details unless they paid close attention at the time. And while false memories can be implanted, it requires manipulation, suggestion, and vulnerability, not random brain glitches. Memory is imperfect, but it isn't wholesale fabrication. Story 8. On a cosmic timeline, Earth is an elderly planet. If the universe were a human life, Earth would be pushing 80. The sun will become hot enough to boil our oceans in under 2 billion years. Long before that happens, Earth's internal heat will diminish to the point that tectonic plates slow and eventually stop. At that point, the planet becomes geologically dead like Mars. The magnetic field weakens, radiation increases, erosion takes over, and the surface gradually turns barren and sandblasted. We've already gone through several supercontinents, and geologists predict form our last one right before Earth becomes uninhabitable. Mars isn't just empty, it's a corpse, a dead world orbiting a star. Earth is slowly heading toward the same fate. Story 9. Every passing second brings you closer to your final one. Time flows only forward, and your lifespan decreases whether you pay attention to it or not. Hours, days, years, they're all grains of sand slipping through a one-way hourglass. If you're lucky, your end arrives gently, without warning. But most people experience the last moments consciously, often with fear, pain, or regret. Even reading this took 10 seconds you can never get back. But the reply to this makes an important point. That's just life. It's okay. People die every day, some peacefully, some in our arms. I've held people at their last breaths, watched their bodies soften and settle into stillness. It's part of the deal we all signed the moment we were born. My brother is 11. My great-grandmother is 105. My mother is 62. My first child is barely weeks old. None of us get all the days, just the ones we're given. There's no need to panic over time moving only in one direction. Just enjoy what you can: warm feet on cold tile, flocks of birds shifting like underwater schools, little strange miracles everywhere. Story 10. The scariest thought for me isn't my own death, it's the idea of my children having to live their lives without me one day. It's not the end of my experience that frightens me. It's the fear that my kids won't have someone who loves them as fiercely and unconditionally as I do. I know they'll grow up and find partners who care for them deeply, whoever those partners may be, but I can't wrap my head around anyone ever valuing them the way I do. I would burn the entire world to protect them. The idea that one day I won't be here to do that is something I struggle to accept, but it's a reality that will eventually come. Story 11. Either consciousness can be destroyed, or it goes on forever. I've got a sneaky feeling that it's just the same consciousness in every person, but I can't remember my past self because memories and brains belong to the organism, not the consciousness. So that means I've probably been billions of other people, and have to be billions more, without remembering any of it. This might sound very nice and all, but I can't help but be scared about this. Even if I accept the fact that I will have a lot of bad deaths, it also means that in this entire universe, I am actually alone. Anyway, nothing to worry about. It's probably not even true anyway. Story 12. Strictly speaking, you've never been in the same place twice. You are on a spinning ball of rock, hurtling around a gargantuan ball of fire. That itself is adrift amidst a sea of stars in a galaxy that is being dragged through the universe by forces both visible and invisible. The point in space and time where you are right now will forever be out of your reach again. Story 13. You will never experience life in the way someone else, or even as another creature does. You will never know anyone who has died before you were born. All of life before your ability to perceive might as well be lore in a video game. You will never get to know what happens after you have passed on from this world. The new movies that come out, the new discoveries made, etc. In a few generations, you will be little more than a name or number in a data set. No one will remember you as you were. Your pets may outlive you and have nowhere to go when you die. The world will keep spinning regardless of what tragedy you endure. 20 years ago was 2005. These realizations haunt me. Story 14. The fact that there is no scientific evidence for anything beyond death, meaning when you die, it's not just a void or nothing. You just stop existing. You don't remember anything or feel anything ever again. You're just gone and there's nothing anyone can do about it. To be fair, this could just be personal belief because different religions teach different things and different people believe different things. And I get their saying is no scientific evidence, but it is sometimes a bit skeptical about this. There is no scientific proof, as you say, but if you die before your parents are your parents, or remember you, if you die before your children died, are probably going to remember you. If you die before your spouse dies, they're probably going to remember you. So you're definitely going to live on in people's hearts before you do. Probably pass on when they pass on. Just remember that. Story 15. The third age. The older you get, the sicker you will be, no matter how healthy you are. I have seen elderly people who suffer from sensory or cognitive impairment, including some who are malnourished or have multiple blisters on their skin. I am terrified of reaching his age. I can't stop begging God to give me the opportunity to die young, before reaching a stage of my life that will be very painful, and more so where I live. Medicines are so expensive that if an old man buys them, he dies of hunger. The money from retirement is not even enough to pay the bills for the month. Story 16. Ever since a close family member of mine passed away months ago, it has changed my whole perspective about mortality and the fact how quick we can leave this earth. I am 28, and I know for some people, I am in my prime years, so I have nothing to worry about, but I am also aware how life can be so random at times. I've been a big fan of the MCU, Marvel films, ever since the first Iron Man, and usually when Marvel releases their movie slate of future movies coming ahead, the response usually is, yes, I can't wait. But now for the first time in my life, the recent movie slate they released for future movies coming from next year to 2025, possibly 2026, my first thought was, will I even be alive for this? What if God doesn't want me here at some point? I know it's dark and dramatic, even funny to a certain degree, because of the example I chose LOL, but if I were to be honest about where my headspace lies at this moment, it's that. It's scary. I've even seen people who I've gone to school with since middle school passing away. Also, not saying I stayed close to them ever since we graduated, but regardless of seeing notable people pass away around your age, or even seeing some having to announce close family members of theirs passing away, it's daunting to hear. My condolences to whoever has lost someone close to them. You will be 1,000 times stronger than most people if you see it through. Story 17. The fact that everything you do is ultimately meaningless, and you are but an insignificant grain of sand in the vast desert of time. No matter what legacy you leave, the people after you will die, and then the people after that, and then the ones after that. Even assuming humanity moves onto other worlds to survive the end of our world, entropy is inevitable. Eventually, all energy in the universe will be evenly distributed. Nothing will ever happen again. Story 18. Great question. To some, it would be more sobering than scary, to arrive at the realization that no one actually knows fully who you are, because each of us is really a composite of the impressions of all those who ever interacted with us, from the humbling experience of the whale that made eye contact with us that one time, to that seemingly insignificant bug we inadvertently or maybe intentionally crushed, from that person whose name we forgot and we unknowingly snubbed, to the person who felt our wrath for some real or perceived injustice, from the ones we've dumped to the ones we keep, From the furry four-legged ones to whom we can show instant unconditional love, to those upright, bare-skinned ones who earn our love slowly and with a bit more trouble. All of these snapshots and more, our inner workings, feelings, perceptions, opinions, all of them make us who we are. And without all of it, we realize eventually on some level, we are unknown even to ourselves. Story 19, where it all comes from. Like, just really think about it. No matter how far back you go, it seems like the question will remain eternally unanswered. Sure, you might say, the entire universe came from a single Big Bang. But what existed before that, such that a Big Bang could even occur? Why are the fundamental forces the way that they are, and why do they even exist at all? Did they spawn from parent universes? Okay, so what created those universes and the forces that govern them? Mormons have an interesting take on God preceding everything, in that everyone who meets certain criteria becomes the literal God of their respective universes. And so that begs the question, the current God of our universe was once someone who lived a life and created their own universe, which means there was another universe and God who preceded them, which would have continued for however long in the past until you finally get to what? Even trying to believe in a single deity at the beginning of it all. Why or how did they precede everything in existence? The more I deeply ponder this question, the more unsettled I become. It's awesome, and it's the most literal sense. Story 20. The people who are the most confident are usually the most incompetent. It's so common that it's practically a rule I live by now. The people with imposter syndrome almost always do their jobs far more competently. It's honestly terrifying because the huge majority of people are easily tricked by a confident attitude. The hair on the back of my neck raises when I hear someone boasting about their abilities or accomplishments, because that almost always accompanies a wide range of potent personality defects. Story 21. I wish to get away from my home. Then I wish to be 21. Then I wish to get married. Then I wish for a house. Then I wish for a dog. Then I wish for a cat. Then I wish for children. Then I wish for sleep. Then I wish my kids to be happy. Then I wish my mean, normal teenage behavior. Teenagers would move out. Then I wish my kids moved back in. Then I wished I was 15 again because I was warm, fed, had no idea what bills were. We wish for our futures if we are thinking forward. We forget to enjoy where we are now. Story 22. Watching movies as a kid, there is often that question. A kid asks an adult, does it get easier? Most every time the child gets ignored, the question goes unanswered, and the adult just gets depressed thinking about it. The most hopeful response I ever heard was, no, but you do get better at it. That was a comforting lie preceded by the truth. No, life gets nothing but harder, more painful, and more exhausting. You might get stronger if you work real hard at it and get real lucky to not be injured or traumatized too much. But you will get injured, you will be traumatized, and if you do get stronger, it'll only make it so that you can weather more pain. Story 23. Nobody cares. You got that promotion? Nobody cares. You just got some devastating news? Nobody cares. The only time anyone shows any care at all for your life if it impacts them directly or indirectly. If you're celebrating, they'll celebrate with you, because let's face it, who doesn't want an excuse to have a good time? If you're crushed by bad news, they'll be annoyed that they have to deal with the situation. Story 24. All the people who I see and read posts and comments from, who seem to have so little respect for the people who are different from them, even if it's just that they have different hair or clothing styles, are allowed to vote the same as I am. In my state, those voices have more say than mine due to the electoral college process. Also, so many people cheer on the twisting and breaking of the US Constitution because they like one freaking guy. They're willing to break centuries of work and development just to beat the other side. Like we're not all on the same ship at the end of the day. If we sink, the whole country does. No, I didn't like Biden either. Last edition, so many people on both sides don't actually know what the Constitution says and means. They don't understand the historical development of government powers. Many of them think we've always had the Constitution to begin with, and they try to educate me incorrectly. That's scary. Story 25. Friendships are not static. Sometimes someone moves far away or has a big life event and you guys just drift apart. Sometimes you get closer to someone you never expected to. Sometimes that best friend you thought was your ride or die will have a falling out with you. Sometimes a whole group will decide they would rather socialize without you. Sometimes someone needs to make you the villain of their story, and sometimes you might feel compelled to do the same. Regardless, you are worthy of love and friendship. You will have moments in your life where you feel full of life with a close-knit social group, and other times you will feel so lonely. Sometimes you will love company, and sometimes you will love that time you have to yourself. Hold your people close to your heart and appreciate the moments you have with them. Learn radical acceptance that sometimes friendships don't last, and that is okay. You aren't a bad person and you aren't a villain. Make a real effort to be a better human being every day, and don't punish yourself too hard on the days that you weren't successful, because healing isn't linear. Trust that your friends love you and be willing to let them go if it's time for them to move on. There is so much in this life that we have to do alone, but there is so much that we can do for each other. It's important to be someone who will show up for people, but not at the expense of your well-being. I hope this makes sense. Story 26. I think as kids, a lot of us anyway, are told if we act responsibly, we'll have stability as adults. As an adult, you realize that isn't the case at all. Not everyone is born gifted. Not everyone becomes successful even with hard work. Bad things happen to good people simply by being in the wrong place at the wrong time. As we've seen with forever chemicals, microplastics, and in a lot of places, in the US, don't know about other countries, still air pollution. Being perfectly healthy doesn't exist. Driving isn't 100% safe. Your relatively stable country descending into civil war or chaos isn't beyond the realm of possibility. Economic turmoil is still very real. It's even possible that someday, relatively soon, any national power grid could go down. Medicine isn't perfect and some people have bad luck with their health. Even nuclear war is as small of a possibility as people think. It takes one wrong move, one mistake, or one unhinged leader to end everything. Story 27. Most people shouldn't be parents, including both of my own, which I realize is definitely the reason I feel this way. But anyway, you don't have kids because they are cute with the main goal being you wanted to see your DNA squished with someone else's. Kids have their own soul and should be nurtured so they are at least tolerable, adults with decent morals. So tired of running into adults during my day-to-day life that are insufferable in so many ways, and you can tell, most of it is from lack of parenting. Story 28. Your brain is not showing you reality. Only its best guess. Everything you experience is not the world as it truly is, but a simulation your brain creates moment by moment. You never see raw reality. Light hits your eyes, sound enters your ears, and your brain interprets the data, filling in gaps, correcting inconsistencies, and smoothing over what doesn't make sense. It presents you with a world that feels solid, immediate, and real, but this experience is actually the product of countless unconscious edits. Even the sense of now is delayed by roughly 1/10 of a second, but your mind masks that lag so it seems instantaneous. The scary part is how many illusions your brain uses to keep you functional. Visual blind spots are patched with made-up imagery. Noises are rearranged in time so they seem continuous. Your perception of color, temperature, motion, and even love or fear is a biological hallucination tailored for survival, not accuracy. When you look at a tree or hear someone call your name, you're not accessing reality. You're observing your brain's best guess at what reality might be. This means the world you think you're experiencing, the one you trust completely, is not objective or fixed. It's personalized, subjective, and often wrong. Two people standing in the same place at the same moment are living in two different versions of the world, shaped by their memories, fears, expectations, and neural wiring. Story 29. You have already forgotten most of your life and you will forget even more. You've lived thousands of days, and yet you can probably remember only a few hundred clearly. The rest years of conversations, emotions, routines, faces, places, and experiences are gone forever. The human brain forgets because memory is not meant to store your past. It's meant to keep only what helps you survive your future. Everything else is quietly erased, overwritten, or distorted. Most of your childhood vanished before you even became an adult. Most of your teen years are a blur. Even last year is already fading. And what you think you remember isn't reliable, because each recall rewrites the memory slightly. Over time, your recollections drift so far from the truth that they're essentially fiction you believe in. The scariest part is how silently this happens. You don't feel the moment a memory dies. You don't sense the gradual decay. Your mind simply reclaims the space for other things. In a lifetime, you'll forget friendships, places you loved, dreams you once had, versions of yourself that felt permanent. Whole chapters of your life will vanish without ceremony. One day, the present moment you're living in right now, the people around you, the thoughts you're having, the things you care about, will be something you can no longer access. And eventually, even your most treasured memories will blur, shrink, or disappear. You are constantly becoming a stranger to your past self, shedding versions of you that once felt essential. The truth is unsettling. Most of your life is made of moments you will never remember, and the moments you do hold on to will never be as accurate as you believe. Story 30, the person you think you are, is mostly a story you tell yourself. Your identity feels stable. Your preferences, personality, beliefs, dreams, and fears all seem like you. But neuroscience suggests that your sense of self is a narrative your brain assembles from scattered thoughts, memories, habits, and emotions. There is no single unified you inside your mind. Instead, different brain systems take control depending on your state. Hungry you, tired you, stressed you, confident you, hopeless you. Each feels like the same person, but they're often contradictory. Your brain stitches these shifting states into a coherent story so you don't feel fractured. But the self you wake up as tomorrow might be different from the one you were yesterday, with new priorities, a changed mood, or slightly altered beliefs, and the story simply updates without telling you. This is why people wake up someday wanting a new career, ending a relationship, starting a hobby, or feeling completely different about something they once cared about deeply. The unsettling truth is that your identity isn't fixed. It's fluid, fragile, and constantly rewritten. If you'd grown up in a different environment, had different friends, lived in a different town, or encountered one significant event at the right or wrong moment, you would be a fundamentally different person thinking different thoughts, holding different values, living a different life. You are not the architect of your identity. You are the expression of countless external forces: upbringing, trauma, culture, chance encounters, random luck, genetic tendencies, and unconscious reactions woven into a story you believe is deliberate. Story 31. Every person you know is living a life as complex as yours, and you'll never truly know them. Every person you pass on the street is experiencing a life as deep, complicated, and emotionally intense as your own. They have fears, secrets, regrets, hopes, insecurities, private battles, and memories that shape everything they do. But you will never know more than a tiny fraction of any of it. Even the people closest to you, family, friends, partners, show you only a sliver of who they are. Most of what makes a person who they are lives inside their mind. Unspoken thoughts, suppressed emotions, silent anxieties, unfulfilled dreams, hidden pain. You never see the full picture. You only see the version they present, filtered through their fears and your assumptions. You think you understand them, but your understanding is partial and often inaccurate. You assume others think like you, feel like you, and interpret the world the way you do, but everyone's internal universe is different. Someone you view as calm might be quietly falling apart. Someone you see as confident might constantly doubt themselves. Someone who hurt you might be acting out of pain you never saw. Someone you thought you knew might be living a private life you could never imagine. The eerie truth is this: You are surrounded by billions of worlds, one inside each person, and you will barely glimpse any of them. And one day, you will disappear from these worlds entirely. People will continue living their complex lives after you're gone, and the version of you that remains in their memories will be small, incomplete, and eventually forgotten. Story 32, You're Always. One decision away from a completely different life. Your entire life is built on a fragile chain of choices, coincidences, and random moments that could have gone differently. A missed bus, a casual conversation, a late night thought, a small decision you barely notice. Any of these could have shifted your path permanently. If you had taken a different job, answered a message you ignored, trusted a different friend, or gone left instead of right, the entire structure of your life would be unrecognizable. The scary part is how unaware you are of these branching paths as they happen. You don't feel the weight of a life-altering moment when you're in it. You only realize in hindsight, or never at all. Meanwhile, countless versions of your life could exist, each shaped by different circumstances, different habits, different relationships, different strokes of luck or misfortune. There is a version of you who pursued a passion you abandoned, a version who never met certain people, a version who ended up somewhere entirely new, a version who failed earlier or succeeded sooner. These alternate paths feel invisible because you live only one of them, but they represent everything your life could have been. This thought becomes scarier the deeper you go. Your current life, your relationships, career, personality, and months. Future rests on decisions you barely remember making. You could wake up tomorrow, make a small choice without thinking, and trigger a new chain that leads to a future nothing like the one you imagine. Your life feels stable, but it's built on moments that were never stable to begin with. Story 33. You never actually know what anyone truly thinks of you. People form opinions of you based on their experiences, biases, insecurities, and expectations, not on who you really are. Every person who knows you carries a different version of you in their mind. To one person, you might be kind, to another annoying, to another forgettable, to another inspiring. None of these versions is fully accurate, yet they shape how the world treats you. But the unsettling part is this: you never fully know which version of you someone is interacting with. You only see their behavior, not the thousands of silent judgments behind it. People lie to avoid conflict, hide their true feelings, and present masks that maintain the relationship. Someone can act warm while secretly resenting you. Someone can act distant while deeply admiring you. Someone can smile at you while envying your life. Someone can compliment you while feeling threatened by you. Even those closest to you, friends, parents, partners, tell you only what they feel comfortable sharing. They filter their thoughts, soften their truths, and sometimes protect your feelings at the cost of honesty. You never get full access to anyone's mind, no matter how close you think you are. And here's the chilling twist: people also change their opinions of you over time, sometimes without you doing anything. A single misunderstanding, rumor, emotional moment, or private insecurity can rewrite someone's entire perception of you. You move through life surrounded by countless unseen evaluations, assumptions, and silent thoughts, some loving, some neutral, some deeply unkind. You will never know the full truth of how anyone sees you, and everyone else will never know the full truth of you. Story 34. One day, you will do something for the last time, and you usually won't know when life is filled with last times, but you rarely realize when they're happening. At some point, you climbed a playground slide for the final time. You played outside with childhood friends for the last time. You held a certain toy, walked through a certain school hallway, or sat at a certain family dinner, all for the last time, without knowing those moments would never return. Even in adulthood, these quiet endings continue. There will be a last time you talk to certain friends, even if the conversation feels ordinary. The last time you visited your childhood home. The last time you hear a loved one's voice. The last time you feel certain emotions, or believe in certain dreams, or see yourself in a certain way. The haunting part is the invisibility of it all. Last moments feel normal as they're happening. They don't announce themselves. You move through them unaware that an entire chapter of your life is closing behind you. Someday, you will wake up and not realize it's the final time your body moves easily, or your mind is sharp, or your world feels familiar. You will do mundane tasks, brush your teeth, take a walk, send a message without knowing you will never do them again. This truth isn't meant to be depressing. It's a reminder that life is fragile, fleeting, and filled with unnoticed endings. The things you take for granted today may someday exist only as faint memories if they're remembered at all. What makes this thought scary is also what makes it powerful. Because you rarely know when the last time is happening, every ordinary moment could be more meaningful than you realize. Story 35. You will never be able to experience life from another mind. No matter how close you are to someone, a partner, sibling, best friend, or parent, you will never truly experience life the way they do. You will never hear your own voice the way others hear it. You will never see your face the way others see you. You will never feel someone else's thoughts, emotions, sensations, or internal monologues. You live your entire existence inside one consciousness, one perspective, one interpretation of reality. You only know what it's like to be you. You don't know what colors look like to someone else, what sadness feels like in another mind, or how different personalities shape perception. Even language limits understanding. We describe emotions with the same words, but the internal experience behind those words is unknowable. This isolation isn't physical, it's mental. Minds are sealed. You can communicate, empathize, and guess, but you can never fully share your inner world or fully enter someone else's. You are a universe of thoughts and feelings that no other consciousness will ever fully access. And here's the eerie part. Everyone else is trapped in their own private universe too, believing their version of reality is the true one. Billions of minds, each experiencing life differently, each interpreting every moment uniquely. You might spend your entire life with someone and still understand only a fraction of what their world feels like. This truth makes life both deeply lonely and deeply profound. You are the only person who will ever experience being you, and once your mind is gone, that entire subjective universe disappears forever.